Zegler is getting a lot of.
And I feel like, especially with people like this that have like these types of viewpoints, I don't see her coming back from this at all. I think she is totally cooked with this.
When she landed a big role like this and realized that this is not the character that she really wants to portray.
Do I think she made some mistakes along the way? I do. She made quite a few mistakes along the way.
Exciting moments, but also like the little blips where I just don't feel great. I think that's really important that you see me as a human being, because I think a lot of people don't. So I don't know. I want that disclaimer up.
Should have given that role to someone who really understands that character and loves that character.
Imagine stepping onto a stage, lights blazing, expecting cheers, only to hear a wave of boos crashing over you. That's exactly what happened to Rachel Zegler, the actress once hailed as Hollywood's next big thing. In a moment so raw it left the internet in a frenzy. Her smile faded, her voice cracked, and right there, in front of flashing cameras, she broke down.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have when I say that this has been the biggest adjustment of my life. Like understanding the way my life operates now, being who I am, and the things that I've been so fortunate to make. It comes with so much ground. So much ground that I never thought I would be able to cover, and that people think I'm doing poorly and other people think I'm doing gracefully, and I don't think I'm doing it at all.
But this wasn't just a bad night. It was the climax of a storm that had been brewing for months, maybe years. How did a Golden Globe winner, handpicked by Disney, become one of the most booed figures in recent Hollywood history? Let's unravel the story, and trust me, it's wilder than you think. Picture Rachel Zegler in 2021, a 20-year-old unknown, plucked from obscurity by Steven Spielberg to star as Maria in West Side Story. Her performance was electric, her voice a revelation, earning her a Golden Globe and a tidal wave of praise. Disney saw a star, casting her as their live-action Snow White, a role that should have cemented her as a household name. Industry insiders called her a game-changer, a fresh face with the talent to carry a new era of blockbusters. Fans adored her, at least at first. She was charismatic, relatable, a Gen Z icon who seemed to have it all.
And a lot of what you see with Zegler is really just this pretty common Gen Z mentality and approach to work.
Charm, pipes, and a direct line to Hollywood's elite. But beneath the red carpet smiles, something was stirring. The first signs of trouble were subtle, but they were there, waiting to erupt. And when they did, no one saw it coming. As Zegler's fame grew, so did her presence online and in interviews. She wasn't just an actress, she was a voice, loud and unfiltered. But that voice started rubbing people the wrong way. In clips that spread like wildfire, she called classic Disney stories weird and dismissed their timeless appeal with a smirk. To her, these weren't cherished fairy tales, they were outdated relics. Fans who'd grown up with Snow White felt personally attacked. Her offhand comments, meant to sound modern and progressive, came off as condescending, like she was rolling her eyes at the very audience she was supposed to win over. Social media turned brutal.
Honestly, girl boss narratives suck. They are either overpowered, poorly written, forced down the audience's throat, and it just looks like I'm staring at TikTok modern women posts that always talk about men are trash, men are this, men are that. They finally got the opportunity to do that, especially with this buffoon right here. I still don't know why she's still alive. And before you start saying I'm sexist, here are some well-written female characters. This woman right here is way better. So is she. And her too. Man, I love this girl, honestly. She couldn't fit in the background, but Debbie is definitely number one.
X posts and YouTube comments tore into her, with memes mocking her as out of touch. The narrative shifted fast. Rachel wasn't the humble ingenue anymore. To many, she was starting to look like someone who thought she was above the fans who cheered her rise. But this was just the spark. The real explosion was yet to come. The Snow White remake was supposed to be Zegler's coronation, her chance to shine as Disney's next princess. Instead, it became a public relations disaster. In a string of interviews, she didn't just critique the 1937 original, she tore it apart. She called the prince a stalker, dismissed the love story as creepy, and bragged that her version would be a bold, empowered reimagining. To her, Snow White wasn't a damsel in need of saving, she was a leader who didn't need no man. The intention might have been to sound fresh, but to millions of fans, it felt like a betrayal.
The thing is, the internet, when the internet decides that they hate somebody, they hate them. They hate them, and that's it. And I feel like, especially with people like this that have like these types of viewpoints, I don't see her coming back from this at all. I think she is totally fucking cooked with it.
Disney purists, who'd waited years for a faithful remake, were livid. Younger viewers, hoping for a magical escape, were left scratching their heads. Conservative commentators pounced, labeling her the poster child for woke Hollywood gone wrong. Hashtags like #NotMySnowWhite trended, and boycott calls echoed across platforms. Zegler didn't back down, she doubled down, defending her stance in more interviews, which only fanned the flames. But what was happening off camera was about to make things even uglier. Whispers from the Snow White set started leaking, and they painted a grim picture. Insiders claimed Zegler clashed with crew members, demanding script changes to align with her vision. Rumors suggested she argued over costumes, wanting Snow White's look to reflect her personal style rather than the classic aesthetic. These were unverified stories, but they spread fast.
She said she was scared of the original cartoon, watched it once and never picked it up again. She should have watched it a few times and maybe became more familiar with the story. And before the script went through such a dramatic change that it sounds like she had a part in, Disney, an accomplice with that. Obviously, it was their production. You should have, watched it a little closely and maybe stayed a little closer to the original blockbuster, wonderful story written by whoever it was, but produced by Disney.
Feeding a growing perception of Zegler as a diva. Then came reports from her Evita rehearsals, a Broadway project meant to showcase her range. Alleged sources described her as impossible to direct, obsessed with control, and quick to make others feel small if they challenged her.
Vita opens at the Palladium this summer, so we're collaborating with Jamie Lloyd again following Sunset Boulevard. Well, Rachel was desperate to play Eva Perron. It was her idea.
One unconfirmed quote from a crew member stuck. "It's like walking on eggshells. She has to be the smartest person in the room, or she makes you pay for it." These weren't just random trolls. They were industry pros, people with decades in the game, sounding alarms. Each new rumor chipped away at her golden image, turning fans into doubters. But the worst was still to come. Enter the Fan Expo in Los Angeles, a moment her team hoped would hit reset on her spiraling reputation. They planned it meticulously, tight security, pre-approved talking points, a soft QA to let Zegler charm the crowd. She walked out, all smiles, ready to reconnect. Then the room turned. A murmur at first, then boos, low, scattered, but unmistakable. They grew louder, angrier, a wave crashing over her. "Not my Snow White," someone yelled. "Go back to Broadway." Another shouted. Cameras rolled, capturing every second as her face collapsed. Her eyes widened, hands shook, and her voice broke as she tried to speak. The crowd didn't care. They were venting years of frustration. Tears welled up, mascara streaked, and she barely got a sentence out before retreating behind the curtain. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere, trending as #Rachel Zegler live. What was meant to be her comeback became her most humiliating moment, a viral spectacle that left even her critics stunned. But the story didn't end with tears. It was about to get weirder. In the hours after her breakdown, something odd happened. Clips of the booing started disappearing from YouTube and X, flagged for copyright violations. Fan accounts reported being shadow banned for sharing the video. Comments critical of Zegler vanished from event pages. Then came her team's response, a polished statement praising her vulnerability and thanking fans for their support. It was too clean, too quick. Rumors swirled that a crisis PR firm, hired weeks earlier, had orchestrated the whole thing as a sympathy play. The firm, known for emotional reframing, allegedly planned to show Zegler cracking under pressure to make her relatable again, but the public saw through it. "She's crying because we finally called her out," one ex-post with thousands of likes read. Another simply said, "Too little, too late." Instead of winning hearts, the PR move deepened the distrust. Fans felt manipulated, and the backlash grew sharper. But the internet wasn't done with her yet. The fallout split the web in two, sparking a cultural war that went beyond Zegler. On one side were those who felt vindicated, former fans, Disney loyalists, and commentators who'd grown tired of her perceived arrogance. They compiled her interviews into brutal montages, charting her downfall like a scripted tragedy. "She mocked us for months, now she hears how we feel," one tweet with 100,000 likes declared. Clips of her booing were remixed with her snarkiest quotes, painting her as the villain of her own story. But another side pushed back hard. Influencers, actors, and mental health advocates called the booing cruel, even bullying. "When did it become okay to show up just to tear someone down?" a viral post asked. Others warned of a toxic fandom culture where criticism blurs into cruelty. Zegler became a lightning rod in a bigger fight. One side saw her as a symbol of Hollywood's disconnect, the other as a victim of a mob. Caught in the middle, she wasn't just an actress anymore. She was a case study in fame's fragility. But the story doesn't stop with the boos or the viral clips. It's worth asking, What led to this moment? Zegler didn't just stumble into this mess. Her rise came at a time when Hollywood was grappling with its own identity crisis. Studios like Disney were pushing hard for modernized remakes, chasing relevance over nostalgia. Zegler, young, outspoken, was the perfect face for that shift, at least on paper. But her comments tapped into a deeper frustration. Fans felt lectured, not entertained. They didn't want their childhood stories rewritten to make a point, they wanted magic. When Zegler dismissed those stories, she wasn't just critiquing a cartoon, she was dismissing a legacy that millions held dear. Add to that the rumors of her on-set behavior, and it's no wonder the crowd turned. They weren't booing a single person, they were booing an industry they felt had lost its way. And Zegler, fairly or not, became the face of that disconnect. Now, let's talk about the human side. Nobody steps on stage expecting to be humiliated. That moment, with Zegler's voice cracking and tears falling, wasn't just a headline, it was a person unraveling under pressure. Fame at her age, under that kind of scrutiny, isn't easy. She was 20 when she skyrocketed to stardom, barely out of high school, thrust into a world that builds you up one day and tears you down the next. Reports suggest she struggled with the adjustment, admitting in interviews that fame felt like the biggest adjustment of my life. The boos weren't just a reaction to her words, they were the climax of a pressure cooker she'd been in since her debut. And yet, her response, or her team's response, missed the mark. Instead of addressing the hurt, they leaned into spin, which only made her seem more distant. It's a brutal lesson. In the court of public opinion, authenticity beats polish every time. So where does Rachel Zegler go from here? Her career's at a crossroads, and the path forward isn't clear. Hollywood's a strange beast. It loves a redemption story, but only if it sells. Right now, her name carries baggage. Studios are nervous, investors are cautious, and theaters are watching ticket sales like hawks. Some analysts say she should go quiet, let the internet's short attention span move on to the next scandal. A hiatus could give her time to regroup, away from the spotlight's glare. Others argue she needs a bold move, an unscripted podcast, maybe, where she opens up about the toll of the backlash, not as a PR stunt but as a real person. The public can forgive a lot, but only if they feel they're seeing the truth, not another performance. One thing's certain, doubling down on the same empowered rebel persona won't work. It's what got her here in the first place. If Zegler wants to rebuild, her next role could be make or break. She can't keep playing the loud, defiant archetype in big-budget remakes. It'll only remind fans of what they rejected. Instead, she might need something smaller, rawer. An indie film, perhaps, where she plays a character with depth and flaws. Someone who feels human, not larger than life. Imagine her as a struggling artist, a quiet dreamer, or even a villain with layers, something that shows range and vulnerability. If she nails it, if she can make audiences feel her pain instead of her pride, she might start to win them back. There's also the streaming route. A surprise Netflix project could bypass the box office and land directly with viewers, free from the pressure of press tours. But whatever she chooses, it has to feel real. The public's done with polish, they want honesty. There's another angle to consider, the industry itself. Zegler's fall isn't just her story, it's a warning for Hollywood. The backlash against her ties into a broader resentment toward studios that prioritize headlines over heart. Disney's live-action remakes, meant to refresh old stories, often feel like battlegrounds for cultural debates. Fans don't want lectures, they want escapism. When Zegler mocked the original Snow White, she wasn't just speaking for herself, she was echoing a corporate push for relevance that many feel misses the point. Her booing was a symptom of that disconnect, a sign that audiences are tired of being told what to love. If studios want to avoid more disasters, they'll need to listen, not preach. And Zegler, caught in the crossfire, paid the price for that misstep. The internet's still buzzing with her name, and that's both a curse and an opportunity. Love her or hate her, people are watching, waiting to see what she does next. That kind of attention, even if it's negative, is power in Hollywood. If she plays it right, if she can show humility, own her mistakes, and deliver something raw, she might just turn the tide. There's precedent for this. Stars have fallen before and clawed their way back, not by hiding but by proving they're more than their worst moments. Think of actors who've weathered scandals by taking risks, choosing roles that surprise, or speaking with a candor that disarms critics. Zegler could do that, but it'll take courage. She'll need to step away from the Disney sparkle, the polished interviews, and the corporate playbook. She'll need to be human, flaws and all, but if she can't, or won't, make that shift, the outlook's grim. Hollywood's spotlight doesn't dim, it moves. And right now, it's already drifting away from her. The industry doesn't wait for second chances, it demands them. If Zegler keeps leaning on PR spins or doubles down on the attitude that sparked the backlash, she risks fading into obscurity. Her name could become a cautionary tale, a footnote in the story of Hollywood's churn. But if she learns from this, if she can channel the pain into something real, there's a chance, slim, but real, that she could rewrite her story. Not as a princess, not as a rebel, but as someone who fell, got up, and showed the world who she really is. The question isn't just what Rachel Zegler does next, it's whether she's ready to fight for it. Because in this game, the crowd doesn't forgive easy, and the clock's already ticking.